Walk alone. Not because you hate people, not because you think you are better than everyone else, but because there will come a point in your life when you realize something very uncomfortable. Nobody is coming to save you. And strangely enough, that realization can become the beginning of your freedom. There will be days when your friends don't understand your goals. Days when your family questions your decisions. Days when the people you expected to support you suddenly become distant. Days when you wake up with no motivation, no encouragement, and no one cheering for you. And on those days you have two choices. You can stop, or you can keep walking, because your greatest transformation will rarely happen in a crowd. It happens when you are alone with your thoughts, when nobody is watching, when there is no applause, when quitting would be easy. That is where you discover who you really are. The world teaches you to chase attention, to prove yourself, to show people what you're doing. But real growth is quieter than that. You don't need everyone to understand your journey. You need to understand your destination. And once you know where you're going, you must become willing to walk there, even when the road becomes lonely. Every single day, there are 10 things you need to work on. Not once a year. Not when life falls apart. Every day. First, work on your mindset. Your life will rarely rise higher than the way you think. If you constantly tell yourself that you're weak, unlucky, behind, or incapable, your actions will eventually follow those beliefs. So change the conversation inside your head. Stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" Start asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" Stop asking, "Why don't they believe in me?" Ask, "Do I believe in myself enough to continue without them?" Your mind is the place where your future is created before it ever becomes visible. Second, work on your discipline. Motivation feels good, but motivation is unreliable. Some mornings you'll feel powerful. Other mornings you'll want to stay in bed. Discipline means you move anyway. You study when you don't feel like studying. You exercise when you're tired. You work when nobody is praising you. You keep your promises to yourself, because every time you do what you said you would do, you build trust with yourself. And every time you repeatedly break those promises, you teach yourself that your own word means nothing. Build discipline quietly. Let your results make the noise. Third, work on your body. Your body carries your dreams. Take care of it. Move every day. Eat better. Sleep properly. Build strength. Protect your energy. You don't need to become perfect. You need to become stronger than you were yesterday. A stronger body often gives you a stronger mind, and a stronger mind gives you the ability to handle the challenges that life will inevitably bring. Fourth, work on your emotional control. Not everything deserves a reaction. Some people will provoke you. Some will disrespect you. Some will misunderstand you. Some will try to pull you into arguments that lead nowhere. You don't have to respond to everything. Sometimes the strongest sentence is silence. Control your anger. Control your ego. Control your need to prove yourself. The person who controls himself has already won a battle that most people don't even realize they're fighting. Fifth, work on your skills. Every day, learn something. Read. Practice. Study. Improve your communication. Improve your ability to solve problems. Improve your ability to create value. Because confidence doesn't come from pretending you are capable. Confidence comes from becoming capable. And nobody can take knowledge and skill away from you once you've earned them. Sixth, work on your focus. The world is designed to distract you. Notifications. Opinions. Entertainment. Comparison to data market and consider a positive attach. Everybody wants your attention. But your attention is one of the most valuable things you own. Where your attention goes, your life follows. So protect it. You don't need to know what everyone else is doing. You need to know what you are doing. 7th, work on your environment. Pay attention to what you consume and who you spend time with. If every conversation around you is negativity, gossip, excuses, and complaining, eventually that atmosphere begins to shape you. You don't have to hate people. You simply have to become selective with your energy. Sometimes growth requires distance. Sometimes you have to walk away from familiar places to become unfamiliar with your old self. And yes, it may feel lonely. But loneliness is not always a sign that something is wrong. Sometimes loneliness is the space where rebuilding begins. 8th, work on your relationship with failure. You will fail. You will make mistakes. You will choose the wrong path sometimes. You will trust the wrong people. You will start things and abandon them. You will have days when you disappoint yourself. But failure is not the opposite of growth. It is part of growth. Don't waste your pain. Study it. Ask yourself what went wrong. Ask what you can change. Then get back up. A mistake becomes valuable when it teaches you something you refuse to repeat. 9th, work on your self-respect. Stop begging people to choose you. Stop chasing people who continuously show you that they don't value you. Stop shrinking yourself to make other people comfortable. You can be kind without being weak. You can be humble without becoming invisible. You can love people without abandoning yourself. Know your value, and understand that sometimes walking away is not losing someone. Sometimes walking away is finally choosing yourself. And 10th, work on your vision. Know what you are building, because if you don't have a direction, every distraction will look like an opportunity. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to become? What kind of life do I want to create? What must I sacrifice to get there? What habits must I leave behind? What version of me needs to disappear so the stronger version can emerge? You don't need to have your entire life figured out. You just need to know your next step. Then take it. And another. And another. Until one day you look back and realize that all those quiet mornings, all those difficult nights, all those moments when you wanted to quit, but didn't, they were building you. So, if you are walking alone right now, don't be afraid. Maybe this season isn't punishment. Maybe it's preparation. Maybe life is removing the noise so you can finally hear yourself. Maybe the people leaving are creating space for the person you're becoming. Maybe the silence is necessary. Walk alone if you have to. Build yourself anyway. Read when nobody cares. Train when nobody notices. Work when nobody applauds. Stay disciplined when nobody believes in you. Keep going when the results are invisible. Because one day the version of you that you are building in silence will become impossible to ignore. And when that day comes, you won't need to explain your journey. Your life will explain it for you. Walk alone if you must, but never walk without a purpose. There comes a moment in life when you have to learn how to walk alone. Not because you don't need people. Not because people don't matter. But because you cannot build your entire life depending on who decides to walk beside you. Sometimes the people you thought would stay forever will leave. Sometimes the people you expected to understand, you will never understand your vision. Sometimes you'll tell someone about your dream, and they'll look at you like you're wasting your time. They'll tell you to be realistic. They'll remind you of everything that could go wrong. And if you're not careful, you'll start listening to them more than you listen to yourself. That's where many people stop. They don't stop because they lack ability. They stop because they become addicted to approval. They need someone to say, "You're doing great." They need someone to say, keep going. They need someone beside them before they feel confident enough to take another step. But life doesn't always give you that luxury. There will be mornings when you wake up and nobody is motivating you. There will be nights when you're exhausted and nobody knows how hard you worked that day. There will be moments when you are carrying a battle inside your mind that you cannot even explain to the people closest to you. And you have to learn something very important. You must be able to continue even when nobody is clapping. Because if you only move when people encourage you, you'll stop the moment they become silent. You need to become comfortable with your own company. Sit with yourself. Think. Reflect. Ask yourself what you really want instead of constantly asking what everyone else thinks you should want. There is incredible strength in being able to spend time alone without feeling empty. When you are alone, you begin to hear thoughts that were buried beneath all the noise. You start noticing your weaknesses. You start recognizing your patterns. You start understanding why you keep making the same mistakes. And that awareness can hurt. But sometimes the truth has to hurt before it can heal you. You may realize that you've been blaming other people for problems you were responsible for fixing. You may realize that you've been waiting for the perfect moment instead of creating one. You may realize that you've been asking for confidence when what you really needed was discipline. And once you see those things clearly, don't run away from them. Work on them. Because walking alone isn't about becoming cold. It's about becoming independent. It's about reaching the point where you can appreciate people's support without becoming dependent on it. You can love people and still have your own direction. You can listen to advice without surrendering your judgment. You can enjoy someone's company without being afraid of being alone. And most importantly, you can lose people without losing yourself. There will be seasons where your circle becomes smaller. Don't panic. Not everyone is supposed to come with you into every chapter of your life. Some people are part of your beginning. Some are part of your lessons. Some are part of your growth. And some may simply be there for a season before your paths separate. Let them go with gratitude. You don't have to turn every goodbye into a war. Sometimes you simply say, "Thank you for what you taught me," and keep walking. Because your journey is bigger than the people who choose to stay or leave. Your future cannot depend on someone else's presence. So if you're walking alone right now, stop looking at it as proof that you've been forgotten. Look at it as an opportunity. This is your chance to build a relationship with yourself so strong that you no longer need constant validation to know you're on the right path. Keep moving, even when nobody understands, even when nobody notices, even when nobody believes. Because the strongest version of you is often built in the seasons when you had no choice but to learn how to stand on your own. Walk alone when you must, but never stop walking toward the person you are meant to become. Once you learn how to walk alone, you begin to understand something even more important. Being alone means nothing if you don't use that time to build yourself. Because you can spend years alone and still remain the same person. You can have quiet mornings, empty rooms, and an endless time. But if you don't use that time to improve, nothing changes. So stop waiting for your life to magically become better. Build it. Every single day you have an opportunity to become a little stronger, a little wiser, a little more disciplined than you were yesterday. You don't need to transform your entire life overnight. You need to win today. That's it. Win today. Win today. Wake up and do something your future self will thank you for. Read a few pages. Exercise when you don't feel like it. Learn a skill. Learn a skill. Finish the work you have been avoiding. Put your phone away and focus. Go to sleep on time. Keep one promise to yourself. These things may look small, but don't underestimate small actions repeated consistently. Your life is not usually destroyed by one bad decision. And it is not usually transformed by one great decision either. Your life is shaped by what you repeatedly do. Think about that. Every day you are casting a vote for the person you are becoming. When you choose discipline, you're voting for a stronger version of yourself. When you choose laziness again and again, you're voting for the version of yourself that stays stuck. When you choose to learn instead of endlessly scrolling, you're investing in your future. When you choose patience instead of reacting emotionally, you're building control. And nobody sees most of these choices. That's why they matter. Anyone can work hard when people are watching. Real character is built when nobody knows what you're doing. When you don't feel motivated. When there is no reward waiting for you. When you could easily make an excuse and nobody would ever know. That is the moment that matters. You have to stop asking yourself, do I feel like doing this? Ask a better question. Is this necessary for the person I want to become? Because your feelings change every day. Your standards shouldn't. Some days you'll feel powerful. Some days you'll feel tired. Some days you'll question whether any of this is worth it. That's normal. You don't have to feel inspired every morning. You just have to remain committed. Discipline is not about being perfect. It's about returning to the path every time you step away from it. You miss a workout? Come back tomorrow. You waste a day? Don't waste the next one. You make a mistake? Learn from it and continue. Don't turn one bad moment into an identity. You are not your worst day. You are not your failures. You are the person who decides what happens next. And while you're building yourself, don't only build your career or your bank account. Build your mind. Build your body. Build your character. Build your communication. Build your patience. And your patience. Build your ability to sit quietly and think. Build your ability to say no. Build your ability to delay pleasure. Build your ability to finish what you start. Because success without character is fragile. Money can disappear. Recognition can disappear. People can disappear. But the person you become through the process stays with you. That's why you should never envy someone's results without respecting the person they had to become to achieve them. You see the success. You don't see the mornings they wanted to quit. You see the confidence. You don't see the years they spent doubting themselves. You see the strength. You don't see the battles that forced them to develop it. So don't compare your beginning to someone else's finished chapter. Build yourself at your own pace. Quietly, patiently, relentlessly. And remember, you don't need to prove to everyone that you're changing. You only need to make sure that you actually are. One better decision today. One stronger habit tomorrow. One difficult task completed. One distraction removed. One weakness confronted. One promise kept. Then repeat. Eventually, the small things become your character. Your habits become your lifestyle. Your discipline becomes your identity. And the person who once struggled to get started becomes the person who no longer needs to be pushed. That's when you know you've changed. You don't chase motivation anymore. You have standards. You don't wait for perfect conditions. You take action. You don't need someone to believe in you every morning, because you have learned how to believe through your actions. So build yourself quietly, because the strongest version of you is created long before anyone notices the results. Work on yourself every day until discipline becomes the person you are. Knee down, ball. And after you learn to walk alone and spend your days building yourself, something begins to change inside you. You stop looking for someone to rescue you. You stop waiting for someone to give you permission to become the person you want to be. You begin to understand that the most important relationship you will ever have is the one you have with yourself. Because people can promise you many things. They can tell you they will stay. They can tell you they believe in you. They can tell you they will support you. And sometimes they mean it. But people change. Circumstances change. Relationships change. Life changes. The only person you are guaranteed to wake up with every morning of your life is yourself. So become someone you can depend on. When you say you're going to do something, do it. When you set a goal, take it seriously. When you make a promise to yourself, stop treating it like an optional suggestion. This is where self-respect begins. Self-respect isn't simply looking in the mirror and telling yourself that you're valuable. It's proving it through your actions. It's choosing what is good for you, even when what is easy feels better. It's walking away from what constantly drains you. It's refusing to keep returning to places that destroy your peace. It's having enough courage to say no when saying yes would make everyone else happy but leave you disappointed in yourself. And sometimes self-respect will make you look selfish to people who benefited from your lack of boundaries. Let them misunderstand you. You don't have to explain every decision. You don't have to convince everyone that your boundaries are reasonable. You don't have to defend every step of your journey. There comes a point where peace becomes more valuable than approval. And when you reach that point, you realize that not every battle deserves your energy. Not every insult deserves an answer. Not every person deserves access to you. Not every opportunity deserves a yes. Your energy is limited. Your time is limited. Your attention is limited. Spend them carefully. Because every time you give your energy to something meaningless, you have less energy available for the things that actually matter. And becoming someone you can depend on also means learning to control yourself. Control your emotions. Control your impulses. Control your spending. Control your words. Control your reactions. You don't need to respond the moment you feel something. Pause. Think. Ask yourself, if I react right now, will I be proud of myself tomorrow? That one question can save you from so many unnecessary mistakes. Strength isn't always about doing more. Sometimes strength is knowing when not to act. Knowing when to stay silent. Knowing when to walk away. Knowing when to wait. Knowing when to let something go. And then there is another part of becoming dependable. Keeping going when the excitement disappears. Anyone can start. Starting feels exciting. A new goal. A new routine. A new plan. But eventually the excitement fades. That's when the real work begins. You have to continue when the results are slow. Continue when nobody notices. Continue when you question yourself. Continue when the process feels boring. Because the life you want is usually hidden behind the things you keep postponing. The difficult conversation. The early morning. The unfinished project. The uncomfortable decision. The habit you've been avoiding. Do those things, not because they're easy, because they're necessary. And don't wait until you feel ready. You may never feel completely ready. Courage is not the absence of uncertainty. It's moving forward while uncertainty is still there. One day you will look back at the person you used to be. You'll remember the insecurities, the fear, the excuses, the people you tried so hard to impress, the moments when you almost gave up, and you'll realize something beautiful. You didn't become stronger because life became easier. You became stronger because you stopped running from difficult things. You learned to stand. You learned to think. You learned to work. You learned to leave. You learned to begin again. And most importantly, you learned that you can trust yourself. That's the real victory. Not becoming someone everyone admires. Becoming someone you respect, when nobody is watching. Someone who doesn't need constant validation. Someone who can stand alone without feeling broken. Someone who can lose without giving up. Someone who can fail without becoming a failure. Someone who can walk through difficult seasons without abandoning himself. So keep building. Keep your standards high. Keep your promises to yourself. Protect your peace. Choose your direction carefully. And when the road becomes lonely, remember that solitude can be the workshop where your strongest self is created. You don't need everyone to understand your journey. You need to remain faithful to it. Because the ultimate goal was never simply to walk alone. The goal was to become strong enough that wherever life takes you, you know you can handle it. Become someone you can trust, and you will never truly walk alone. So, if you're standing at a point in your life where the road feels empty, don't be afraid of it. Maybe this is the season where you're supposed to stop chasing people and start chasing growth. Stop waiting for someone to motivate you. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for everyone to understand your vision. Walk. Walk. Build. Improve. Every morning, give yourself one reason to become stronger than you were yesterday. Work on your mind. Work on your body. Work on your discipline. Work on your skills. Work on your emotions. Work on your confidence. Work on your character. And most importantly, work on the relationship you have with yourself. Because one day, the people who didn't understand your journey may see your results. The people who doubted you may notice your strength. The people who walked away may wonder how you became so different. But by then, their approval won't matter anymore, because you'll know what it costs to become who you are. You'll remember the lonely nights, the silent battles, the mornings you didn't want to get up, the days you wanted to quit. And you'll realize that every difficult moment was teaching you how to stand without needing someone to hold you up. So don't be afraid to walk alone. Don't be afraid to outgrow people. Don't be afraid to start over. Don't be afraid to choose discipline over comfort. Your life is being built by what you do when nobody is watching. And if you keep showing up, keep learning, keep improving, and keep moving forward, eventually the person you are becoming will be stronger than the person you used to be. You don't need to become extraordinary overnight. Just become better today, then better tomorrow, then better again. Keep walking. Keep building, keep becoming. And one day, you'll look back and realize that the lonely road wasn't leading you away from your life. It was leading you to yourself. And then Tara,